Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Bearded Joe's Beer Reviews, where we place beers through a 4-point inspection. 1, visual representation of the label, color of the beer. 2, aromatics. 3, taste. And 4, just your overall enjoyment of the beer. Today we are going to be reviewing Delirium Tremens by Brown Ihija. Now, what we know as Brown Ihija today is years of brewing experience in Mali dating back to 1654. That experience led to 1988, where this beer was born. In 1992, the Conferi of the Pink Elephant was born. Now, this represented Delirium Tremens and other beers of Mali. Now, this beer was awarded the World Cup of Beer in 1997. And several different brews in the Delirium line has been made since, including Delirium Nocturne, Red, Noel, which is their Christmas beer, and Deliria, which was brewed by women and had won several awards. Now, this beer is coming in at 8.5% alcohol by volume, and the flavors are considered malty, dry, and a lot of experts even say the flavors are too intricate to even describe. So this is going to be a fun one to taste and review as well. So I'm really, really excited about this one. And today we have a very special guest out in California. His name is Chris Jani, and he also has a beer review channel called On Tap. We've been chatting back and forth, just talking about his show, talking about my show, and we decided to do almost a collaboration. And so I'm so excited to have him on the show to try this beer with. So let's, without further ado, let's welcome in Chris Jani from On Tap. Well, hey, Chris, welcome to the show. So glad to have you on here.
Thanks for having me here, Joe. I really appreciate coming on the show, and this is my first collaboration video, actually. So,
mine too. So,
first one. Haven't ever done a collaboration in video on YouTube before, but first time for everything. So,
for sure, we're glad to have you on here. Well, tell us a little bit about yourself and your channel.
Yeah, so I'm originally from New York, but I'm living in California at the moment. And I actually started the channel because I was in school. I was doing sort of a graduate program in Los Angeles, and I sort of had a mentor who was done a bit of work in YouTube, and we were just going through kind of channel ideas since it was part of a class. And I was kicking around some concepts, and beer's always been something that ever since I kind of turned 21, I've really enjoyed trying different types, especially with my dad and my brother, and just friends kind of overall. And so he suggested I kind of run with that idea, and then the format that developed was kind of this hybrid tasting, but also like history and backstory to the beers that we were trying. And then originally, we just did this as sort of like a pilot show, just something when COVID first hit. But as COVID just turned out to be something that shut down, honestly, a lot of stuff, right? I didn't have much going on in the summer of 2020 into kind of fall of 2020 into 2021. And so I just kind of got some people together in the local area, wrote some scripts, started shooting some videos, and then just kind of continued going with that through 21 into, the beginning of this year. And we finally got things edited, built up a bit of a backlog, and launched the channel on I think it was November the 9th, 2021. So
very, very nice. So this has been something you've been kind of thinking about for a while, that you've been working on for the past couple years.
Yeah. It wasn't just sort of something where we, shot a video here and there, like as of 6 months ago. It's been something that has been going on now for more than 2 years, at least in some iteration. We changed obviously a little bit here and there about how long should the episodes be, how should we kind of break stuff up. But yeah, it's been something I've been working on for a bit now.
That's awesome. And we're going to we're going to talk more about that and kind of your journey here in a few moments, because I want to know, you know, a little bit more how you guys started, what beers you've liked over the years, and so we'll go over that as well. But let's first, you know, kind of start on our 4-point inspection. So, Chris, what stands out to you about this label, and what do you like about it?
Well, so there are two things. I'm going to also talk about the bottle a little bit. I mean, the pink elephant obviously is the most obvious thing here that just draws your eye in immediately. And you know, it's the thing about Delirium, right? Like, it's kind of this weird, almost like meta concept for a beer, because it's dealing with like terrible alcoholism, and that you're going to name your beer after that. And the concept of the pink elephant, which I think is a very bold statement. But I also like the fact that the bottle, it's like stoneware, you know, which I think is very nice, and you don't see that a whole lot with other beers.
Right. Yeah, I agree. And you know, you mentioned the name. You Google Delirium Tremens, it doesn't. You know, the first like 8 results aren't even about the beer itself. It's about what the term means. And you have to you have to add the word beer or brewery to the end of it to actually get some descriptions on the beer itself.
It's probably the boldest name that I know of. I mean, I'm sure there's, you know, for American craft beer brewers out there with crazy titles, but for something that's I would say reasonably well-known beer. I mean, I've seen it, you know, pretty much in most reasonably kind of high-end beer stores, even plenty of grocery stores. It's a very bold name.
Right. And you got yours at a grocery store as well, correct?
Yeah. So I'm in Los Angeles. I got this at BevMO, which is sort of you know, it's like a Total Wines. I don't actually know if it's outside of California, or I don't know kind of what their national footprint is. They didn't have them in New York when I was sort of growing up, and I was in my 20s. But yeah, it's basically just you know, they got liquor, wine, beer, all those, and you know, there are different BevMos around the city. So sometimes I can see like, you know, which one has like this Delirium, and you know, some of them maybe have like other types of import beers. So it's an interesting mix. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I got mine at it's actually just down the street. It's called Beverage Castle, and they have a cigar castle right next door. And so you can go one side, get your beer, and then the next side you can get your cigars. Well, let's crack it open and let's see what it tastes like. This one, they did not have the smaller bottles here. And so they have the big pint one, and can't really see it very well, but the cap with the pink elephant, and it's kind of like almost.
There you go.
There we go.
I love the pop. So pour on 3.
Yep.
First I'm doing this. All right.
1, 2, 3.
All right.
I've learned to pour and not look at the camera.
Yes. This is a learning in progress. So, all right.
So yeah, the head on yours looks like about one of mine. Pretty fizzy.
It's not, you know, the different beer, but I think Duvel is probably the beer that has some of the most insane head on the pour of any Belgian ale I've ever had. I mean, you have to wait like minutes for that thing to go down.
Wait for it to go down? Yeah.
It's just like you pour it, it's like 90% of the glass is just foam. But this pours very well. Yeah, it's going down.
Yeah, I actually got this glass in Belgium at the Delirium Cafe. We went there probably about 11, 12 years ago. And we went to their bar, which called Delirium Cafe. At one point, it was called the world's largest bar with like 2,004 beers in it. Had 3 different levels to it. So if you're ever in Belgium, definitely go check it out.
I went to Belgium once in 2012, but I haven't been back, and that was just like a one-day trip through kind of Northwest Europe. So when I go back, it will definitely be for a beer tour.
Yeah, definitely. So what strikes you at the head, the color? of the beer?
Well, the head poured very nicely. I thought it was just, and obviously, I'm sort of learning that can be very dependent also on the glass too. It's not
Right.
just the beer, and it's not just how you pour it. It's like what's the shape of the glass, and how does that affect kind of the bubbles in the head and how all that forms. So the head was very nice. It kind of, and it came down at a good rate. Some of these Belgian beers, you feel like you're waiting, the whole day for the head to go down if you pour it in correctly. So that's very nice. And then I like I'm just going to hold up here so I can see. It's the very sort of the deep, it's not yellowy. It's almost like it's like an amber gold, a honey color, which I really like. It's not that straw yellow, which you have with, some triples, but it's not like it's not really a double. So it's not going to have that darker chestnut color, but it's, more of like a golden honey, which I really like.
Yeah, that's a good way to describe it. It does look like just almost like a liquid honey. It's still fizzing on mine with the glass I'm using, so the carbonation in it is pretty high. It's a great color. The smell, it smells good. Any flavors coming out?
Well, so I don't describe this as a flavor, but it's something I noticed with a lot of good beers is it's that warm feeling of alcohol that's worked, but it's like worked into the beer in a very sort of smooth way. So you don't have, like if you're smelling liquor or something, right, there's often that burning sense of alcohol, right, where it's like really hitting your olfactory nerves. I think it's olfactory nerves. Anyway, your smell, right? This one though, in certain other beers, right, it's a lot more understated, but you can definitely smell that this thing's got a bit of a punch to it.
Yeah, I agree. And a lot of when I was reviewing this beer, kind of looking at some other people's notes, they said that the flavors of this beer, from taste to the aroma, was almost too intricate to describe. It's what they use.
Yes.
It's flavors and the smell is different from a lot of different beers where you can be like, that smells like that's hops or that's some kind of specific fruit. This doesn't have it. So it's a little bit more difficult to pinpoint than a lot of other beers that I've had personally.
No, when I was reading a little bit, that's pretty much what I saw as well. It's a very unique, which I suppose makes it an interesting beer to do on our first collaboration video.
Yeah,
just like,
for sure.
That was good, and that's all we can say.
Yeah, use big words. We'll sound like we know what we're talking about.
Right.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, let's take a sip.
All
Cheers.
Right. Cheers.
What are your thoughts?
So, I do agree with, I think, a lot of the boastings. This has a very intricate flavor. I'm going to still go back to that point, excuse me, about it having that warming sort of alcohol feel sort of worked into it. It's also it's smooth in a similar way as well. There aren't like really sharp sort of, dry or fruity notes. And I going back to the honey analogy of like the color, it's almost like there's that sort of smooth, like almost semi-sweet, but sort of imperceptible flavor that you might have if you took like maybe like a spoonful of honey and some alcohol and some beer, and you sort of, just took some of the essence from that honey and you mixed it in, and it just became this very heavy and deep and kind of complex flavor.
Right. That's a good description. I do taste almost like a dry, almost smokiness flavor. It's you have your smoky porters that you can really taste like a smoke flavor to it. It's not like that. It's almost like a dry, smoky, and then what you said, smooth. So like if you combine dry, smoky, and smooth, put those together, mix them up, that's what this tastes like to me. Very, very good.
You know, I maybe chatted about this earlier on messages or something, that like that second taste, when you take the second taste and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, actually, there's this other thing
Yeah.
that was in there that I didn't get on the first taste. And there's a little bit more of that, yeah, as you said, sort of a dry, but like a smoky dry, not like a hoppy or floral dry in any sense of that.
Right.
That I get
Right.
little bit of that. Yeah.
Yeah. Each sip you have, it's more flavors. So, well, Chris, kind of tell, we'll talk about your show, of course, but, tell us a little bit about what else you do, about your life.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I'm living in LA. I'm kind of in a phase where I'm sort of trying to, I don't want to say make it, that sounds a little stereotypical, but work in kind of the entertainment industry. So I was in a sort of a graduate program, which I got out of in the midst of COVID, and then finally kind of ended up getting placed, and I'm currently working. Sort of at like a production company, basically more on the behind the camera stuff, not in the sense of like directing, but more like producing and all of that. Producing is something I've been very interested in a long time, just because I see it as the thing that allows you to get whatever project you want actually done. As one, I think it was a producer, it was at USC, not the school I went to, but he said like directors make movies, but producers get movies made.
Right.
And that idea of, you have a great story that you want to tell, or you have, again, even something like a YouTube show that you want to build out. Well, cool if you have an idea, but like if you don't have someone else to work with you or like get that off the ground, how do you actually get it done?
Right.
And that's something for me that I've been very interested in producing for, as I see it, sort of like film, TV, digital media, all of those really together, which is another thing that I think as we go down the road, we see like how YouTubers and conventional actors and directors and producers who work on what was historically like one space, like the YouTube space or the movie space or the TV space, will get sort of more and more blended together. So it's something I want to be. I want to just be involved in kind of all of that in all of those different spaces. But I mean, so do many of us, right?
That's awesome. No, that's really cool. And that's needed, because you have so many different people, like you said, that they have an idea, but they don't know how to get that idea off the ground. Yeah. I've had several ideas, and sometimes it does take someone else to seek out advice, for me to seek advice, to them and get the ball rolling. So that is definitely needed for sure.
It's something I'd love down the road to not even necessarily always have to be in front of the camera, but just potentially producing other YouTube shows, even just for, with other people, or for someone where it's on a topic that maybe I'm really interested in, but I'm not maybe the right fit for the person to kind of be in front and kind of work with people in that sense. But yeah, I think just at the end of the day, like even also just for all of us, right? Like understanding the YouTube algorithm and like what works and like what people like and what people don't, and just it's a very interesting way of building a business compared to the old Hollywood system of like the theater.
Right, for sure. So that's awesome. So tell us a little bit about your beer journey. So you mentioned earlier about being 21 and then starting drinking. Did you just right off the bat start drinking good beer, or did you go through a process?
Okay, so this is we have to cut this. This is fine. But growing up, my dad's American. My mom is British. And we definitely have a heavy focus on sort of like the UK and a little European culture there in terms of drinking and all this. And so there was a sense when I was around like 18, 19 of saying like, hey, you're 18, 19, like we can start at least making you more aware of like what alcohol is, how it works, and how you can actually be smart about it. Which again, in the US, obviously drinking age is 21, so not in any sense condoning anyone drinking underage, but I think what certain other countries, in the case of Germany and France and Italy, do get right in a certain way, is making people more aware of the social aspects of alcohol and how to be more responsible in how you sort of consume things. And to give my dad his credit, I think what he did a very good job of was sort of saying, like, here's how you should think about consuming like good beer. And you should not be viewing this in a sense of like, people are doing this to get drunk, right? You're doing this as something that both tastes really good. It's a very interesting flavor profile. And it is a good social bond to form new relationships with people in an environment. And then if you understand all of that and you can appreciate it in the right sort of proper and mature way, you'll have a much more fulfilling, beer journey. And so he obviously didn't say it literally, that way, but that's essentially the conversations we kind of had as I was in college. And so, in my mid 20s, he drank some IPAs, but he was also a big fan of Belgian ales, and so things like Delirium, Chimay, which I've got an episode coming out on that. It's going to be sometime later this year. St. Bernardus, Duvel as well. A lot of these different Belgian ales we've sort of over time tried, and I've come to like more and more as I got older. There was a short period, maybe like 22, 23, 24, where for a second I was into like German wheat beers, so like Hefeweizens and things like that. Sort of German sort of beers in general. Your kind of your standard lagers. And that was just sort of my go-to stuff. But obviously now I'm more in a place where, you said about like your go-tos and then your high-end beers. I might even say there's sort of a mid-tier, there's like mid-tier beers as well. But I'm in a place where now it depends on like, what am I doing? How much money do I want to spend? Who am I with? All that kind of stuff. And that'll affect what I go to. It's not just like, I only drink. So.
Yeah, I honestly, I couldn't agree more with what you just said. It's taken our trip out to Belgium, or we went to Germany and then went to Belgium for a day. We just went to all these different places. And one of my shock factors when we were at some German festival, like a fair almost, and I walked up to go get a beer. And this little girl waved at me, smiled, and I waved back. And I think she was like 12, 13 maybe. And then she gets her beer and walks off. And like my idea, like you said, is like the responsibility factor that goes with that. Here in America, again, I'm with you. I don't encourage people drinking under 21 because, that's the law.
Yeah, that's the law.
But here it's like, oh, it's a big deal. I'm 21. Let's go get like hammered. But when you are brought up with it, like in other countries, and even some states will allow, if you're with your parents, for you to buy beer for them sometimes as young as 16. I think Texas is like that if I'm not mistaken. So certain states have that. And that just brings down the shock factor, or the I'm 21, I can now do this big thing that you see all this advertisement for, and it brings maturity to it, where you, like you said, where you enjoy the flavor, you enjoy what it is, and it does bring in like a bond, whatever place you're at, you can always go share beer with someone.
Yes. Yeah. There's a book, I think it's called How Beer Saved the World, which at some point I'm going to need to get and read, but the guy gets into a lot of the historical aspects of this. And I think he makes an argument, which is like, beer and wine is very important in the sense that it acts as I think he describes it as like a social lubricant. It basically allows people to kind of come together and be in a space where they can develop friendships, essentially, which is really important to have a functional society.
Right. I'm with you. And, just kind of like what you and I are doing, we don't know each other. We never met. But here we are sharing a beer together, and literally on two different coasts, one in California and one in Florida. yes, it's about beer reviews, and you have your show, I have mine, but it's beer. It kind of brings us together. So Chris, is there any like California breweries that you would recommend for people that either they get distributed in other parts of the country or just for people that are listening in California?
Sure. So I would say, for my personal taste, Firestone Walker is definitely the brewery that I would go with in terms of just, I think, what's going to be most easily findable. They make something called the 805 Ale, which I think is just a very nice. It's kind of become almost a go-to beer for me in Los Angeles, where it's not very expensive. In the scheme of things, it's widely available. It's just got a bit more depth to it than something like a Stella or a Heineken or whatever. Just a little bit more flavor, but it's still in that space of something that's kind of just very easily drinkable. There is also I don't know if it's called Stone Brewery or like Stone something, but they make a lot of very serious IPAs and often things that come in like the big 750 milliliter bottles. Since I'm also just beginning my IPA journey and I'm trying to learn more about that, and that's obviously something I've made no bones about in a couple of my videos. That's not a brewery I've tried out as much, but like with anything regarding IPAs, I want to always clarify that's just my personal tastes. But for people who might be out there and are big IPA drinkers, I think it's called Stone is the company, and I think they're definitely based in California as well. And they for sure have national distribution.
Does it have a green label?
Yes.
Is it green?
That should be
okay. Okay.
And they've
I know
got like very sort of like intense names, I think, where it'll be a picture of like a demon with like a beer and stuff. So
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're just the out there American IPA guys. So
okay. I don't know if I've had it. I would have to, when you have 500 something, you got to go back and check. But I'm pretty sure I've had it. Here we have a lot of good breweries here in Tampa. I think Cigar City is one that kind of gets distributed the most outside of Florida. Funky Buddha is one of my favorites because it's a go-to and it's cheaper. So it's not like you're buying, a $12, for one bottle every time you go. So yeah, that's one of my favorites. And then like you said, you're from New York, you moved to California. I'm originally from Oklahoma City and moved down to Florida, and their brewery, their Prairie Artisan Ales, which gets distributed, I think, around the country. That's one of my higher end beers because they are expensive. It's like $12 for a 12-ounce bottle.
For New York, that's I would say Ommegang is in that category, which they're based in. I think they're in upstate New York. Actually, they're around like Ithaca or somewhere. They're somewhere around there, and they do a lot of like Belgian style beers. And I would have said that was for like a New York brewery that gets reasonable national distribution. That's like a higher end.
Okay.
Whereas like Brooklyn Brewery, like that's that one's super popular in New York City. It's sort of the Northeast, but like. I can almost never find Brooklyn Brewery out in Los Angeles, so they're building.
Yeah,
their brewmaster actually Garrett Oliver. He's done a couple sort of like of those, like maybe not variety, but like interviews on YouTube where he's tasting different beers and he's doing a good taste test. The video's out there somewhere on YouTube, and it's like a beer expert, tastes like cheap and expensive beer, and that's Garrett Oliver, who's Brooklyn Brewery's head brewmaster, and he seems like a cool guy. So.
Okay, I'll have to check that out. Are there any like kind of your mainstream popular like beers that you like?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, and I seem to be I've done one video, doing a second video on it. I just find like the basic Sam Adams is just like a good go-to middle of the road beer that's just like very versatile and easy to drink. I also like things like Hofbrau and New Belgium too. Like their fat tire, some of their beers are quite good. So and then increasingly as I'm living in LA, I find like Firestone Walker, the 805 Ale. It's just like it's very very drinkable, and it's kind of widely available. So, and it's just, a little cut above the, the Becks, the Heinekens, the Stellas, the stuff that, like, if I were at a party and that's what's going, it's like, that's fine. But it's not going to probably be like I'm not going to seek that out on my own.
Right. I'm with you. You mentioned Sam Adams. That was kind of my step into craft beer. Because I did drink crappy beer, when I was like 21 and 22. My wife actually helped me, give her a shout out to try better beers. Now I tried a few before her, like Samuel Adams. I was kind of before her. I stepped in trying their beers, and they make a variety pack that I get, during the Christmas time frame. Their winter beers, but she helped me kind of go into the other types of beers. And then when I took my trip to Germany and went around Belgium and all these other places, which it's so cool because beer is the cheapest there.
Yes.
You can get beer for like €2, water for €3, or Coke for €4. And it's like, which one am I going to choose? I'm going to go with beer. Yeah, and I've got several glasses from there too, because I don't know if, I know you said you were there for, how long were you there?
So this was the only time I've ever been to Belgium, Germany, and the Netherlands. Was I basically took like a post-college trip with my at the time girlfriend, and we sort of went. We saw my family in London, and then we kind of did a trip through France, Belgium, Germany, Netherlands. So if you added up the total time we were in Belgium and Germany, it was like 3 days or something. It was very quick, and we were doing a lot of like walking around, and we're also we're big foodies too, so that was a big focus. And I didn't do like a beer trip, and that would be something that I'd want to go back and do if I, hopefully when I go back to sort of Belgium and Germany and the Czech Republic too, actually.
Nice.
With a very, very significant beer tradition, very heavy on Pilsners specifically, but that's another country in Europe that like beer is like kind of like a way of life.
Right, and that's fine. Fine there. I agree. So if you go, if you notice a lot of times they'll have like a 25-cent euro deposit for the glass. So what I did was, so you pay for the beer, you pay for the deposit of a glass, and I just kept the glass. And so it was like 25 cents for the glass, which is extremely cheap. So I brought back probably 3 different, types of glasses, just from going to different breweries. And
I need to up my glass game. That is one thing I'm keenly aware of. That I don't, because I haven't like, driven out and like gone on a hunt for sort of different beer glasses, but it's, I sort of, kind of vaguely kept my eye open for it when I'm at big stores, but usually they're not going to carry anything interesting. So, there's a more local, beer store that's, not too far away from me. It's a couple miles on Sawtell, Blackbeard's, craft beer, which I need to check out. And I understand is, it's like an LA kind of staple. And hopefully I'm going to see if they have glasses there. I could pick up a few maybe.
For sure. Yeah. I have quite a few from just, different breweries and stuff, but I don't have anywhere to put them. So like my wife makes me stick them in a cabinet with the doors closed. I want something with like a glass frame so you can see them, like display them. I just can't do that right now.
I mean, a little bit there behind you.
Yeah. The stuff back here is actually, I move from the cabinet and put them over here for the show. And then when the show's over, I put them back. Because my kids will, if they stayed here, my kids would like hit that, knock them over, and I would hear, "I'm so sorry," once a week at least. So.
That's not good for anyone. Yeah, no, we don't want broken glass in the family room.
Yeah, I'm actually pretty picky about this glass right here because since I got it at the Delirium Cafe, it's like the one glass I don't let anyone drink out of. Not because like I I'm nervous of it breaking, but if it does break and they know that I got it in Belgium, I don't want
Yes.
them to feel guilty. You know,
Yes.
like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I broke that glass. You know, so that's the main reason, not because, you know, of the glass breaking itself. But
It's no, I have one. It's like a 21st birthday, like sort of glass. I guess it would be a tankard, or I guess a tankard has to be made out of pewter. I don't know what the rules are for something to be a tankard, but essentially it's one of those, and that would be for me like the glass that only I can drink out of, and more just because if I'm going to break it, or if it's going to break, I might as well be the one to break it. So
exactly.
I can blame no one
you.
but myself, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I'm with you there. Yeah, there also have you heard of Quack beer? I may be pronouncing that
Yes,
wrong.
I have. And that one, if I remember, I had it once actually. I think it was a couple, but there's actually a couple of Belgian cafes in New York City. I hope they're still around after COVID. I really hope they made it through. Cafe BXL. They had one that was in like Midtown East, Midtown West, and then sort of like Greenwich Village area, something around there. And they have a lot of different Belgian beers. That was actually, going back to sort of my beer journey, that was a spot I remember going to, kind of in my mid-20s. I used to work in finance, and it's a long thing. And I would sort of go there with a couple of friends kind of after work sometimes. And they had Quack. And I believe that's the one that comes in like there's like the wooden frame, and it's in the fun shape. Is that? Oh, you've got it.
Yeah, there we go.
You've got it. Oh my God. Yes, that's the one.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, you hold it by the wood so your hand doesn't affect the temperature of the beer.
Nice. Well, so that was was that one of your Belgian pickups?
No. I actually got that here in Tampa. But that is actually my only five-star 10, perfect rating of beers I've ever rated. I believe so. If I have another one, it's maybe one other. The reason, though, behind the perfect 5-star rating was the experience, because I did drink it there. It was me, my father-in-law, and brother-in-law. Just three of us shared because we were trying to find a Delirium Cafe, and we thought we found it, but we didn't. But it did have like a pink elephant on the sign, and so that's why we thought it was that place. And we shared. It was similar to that. Besides, it was almost like a Lazy Susan, like wooden holster that spun around, and I had, you actually picked up the glass itself, but three of us shared 4 glasses of the Quack beer in Belgium. So that was kind of, I'm not knocking the taste. The taste was great, but the experience behind it is probably the most likely why I rated it a 5-star beyond anything else. So,
but I mean, I think that's true of so many things, right? It's not just the product; it's like the environment that you have it in, and who are you with, and like what is that event that you're, at, and like what are the memories that you had from like doing that, trying that beer, or having that meal, or whatever it is, and like that. Of course, it shapes our remembrance of things like tremendously, as it I think it well should.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why one of the reasons why I rate labels, because that stands out to me so much. It's just a different aspect of the taste. So yeah.
I think it's an interesting idea. I had sort of not thought about it. I mean, occasionally I like mention it, but that idea of always thinking like, here's what the label is, and like, why is it cool? I think that's a really good thing that you do.
Yeah, appreciate it. Yeah, definitely. Well, Chris, kind of going back to the rating. It's been a while since I've had this beer. I've had it before. I don't remember what I rated it, but it's been many, many years since I've had this beer. Based off of kind of the label, the color of the beer, like the aromatics, the taste, what would you rate this beer overall?
Is this out of 10, or is this out of 5?
Yeah, 1 to 10.
1 to 10. Okay. I mean, I would give this probably a solid, like 8.5, kind of up there, 8.5, 9. I think there are still a couple Belgian ales that I like more than Delirium, but Delirium is definitely it's a very top contender for me. It's for sure if you sort of did a like top 20 reasonably available Belgian ales, this is 100% on that list. I think getting into that sort of like the 9s and the 10s and stuff, I'd have to do like a taste test with I think like Chimay Blue Label or and maybe a St. Barnabas, and in that environment see like, well, how does this stack up? But this is 100% like at least like an 8.
Right. It's hard when you're not. That's one thing I like about your show, how you do the different beers and you're able to kind of taste them and tell the difference. When you're in the moment and you're just having one beer, like we do, it's sometimes hard to tell the difference, between like the Delirium and maybe even another Delirium beer that you've had before, or any other Belgian beer or whatever. So that being said, I still tie this to the a memory of the pink elephant, drinking it out of the glass that I bought in Belgium, and the flavor's really good. I think the color's good. I think the pour was good. The head lasted a little long, but not too long. Not like you said before, like 5 to 10 minutes.
Yeah.
But a little long where you need to let it sit for 2 minutes, maybe 3 minutes.
At least I think there's some beers. I might be making this up, but I think there are some Duvels that I've had sit for more than 4 or 5 minutes.
Okay,
Duvel is insane. I don't know why that takes forever to go down, but it does.
Right. I've had some beers that lasted that long too. So, so this wasn't too long. The flavor was really, really good. I said that dry, smoky, smooth flavor. I'm right up there with you. I'm going to say about an 8.5.
Yeah.
And so any beer that gets a 7 or above with us gets the Bearded Joe's Beer Review stamp of approval. Or we can say the on tap approval for you if you approve this beer.
We'll do it first time. Yeah, I haven't done it. I don't have a stamp of approval, but I'm happy to do one.
All right. So if it's 7 above, we get the stamp of approval. So we just slap it on there.
Stamp of approval.
Stamp of approval. All right. Well, Chris, thank you so much for being on the show. It's been a great episode. It's been fun talking to you. We met for the first time. I love your videos. So everyone, if you love beer, you like my channel, go check out his channel. It's called On Tap. And you can find it many ways. So just put it on tap in YouTube.
I think, we're still small enough that if you maybe type in On Tap and just type a video, so, Sam Adams or Goose Island or, IPA taste test or something like that will come up. The logo's sort of 2 crossed green beer bottles, and we're On Tap. So, hopefully you can find me in the recesses of YouTube. Okay,
and we'll have it on the show. So we'll show it on the show of what it looks like so people can go check it out. And guys, if you're enjoying this show, please subscribe to my channel. I would definitely appreciate it. And just hit the notification bell so you can see future episodes. If you listen on podcasts, I would love a 5-star review. If you enjoy the show. If you don't enjoy the show, don't leave a review. Just kidding. And also, if you know me or you want to support Bearded Joe's Beer Reviews, you can always subscribe or sign up for Patreon, Patreon/Bearded Joe's Beer Reviews. I would definitely appreciate it. And then if we miss anything, if you feel like we missed something, comment below. If there's another beer you would like me to try, definitely leave those in the comments as well. And then most definitely go check out On Tap. It's a great channel. He has a great history behind the different breweries that I've tried to implement a little bit on my show. But if you're a history person or beer guy, just go check him out. It's really good, informative show. And as always, beer is meant to be a gift to enjoy and not as an escape. So until next time, until next time, friends, cheers. And dude, thank you.
Is that a wrap?
That was it. That's a wrap.
Beautiful.